Hey guys, Tom here from Metalloud, and today I'm reviewing an album a little bit older from 2011 by Arsonists Get All the Girls called Motherland. Now, if you want to dismiss this album immediately and dismiss this band because of the name that they have, Arsonists Get All the Girls, I can forgive you for that. It's a little bit juvenile. Seems like in the early to mid 2000s there was a renaissance of grindcore and metalcore bands that really just kind of wanted to create the weirdest names possible, or the most random names possible, and a lot of that was reflected in their music at that time as well, with other bands like I Wrestled a Bear Once, for instance, was another one that kind of came out around that time with a weird name. And admittedly, their early stuff, just like Arsonists Get All the Girls, is kind of random for the sake of random, and that style of thinking with electronic work that doesn't really fit, that's just kind of there to be there, random breakdowns, and just all over the place music that at times can be really rough and off-putting, understandably. Now, thankfully, as time has gone on, the bands generally that came out during that era have matured and progressed. And that's where we get Arsonists Get All the Girls with Motherland. Now, this is, as far as I would say, a progressive grindcore, metalcore album. This isn't just straightforward heavy music that you would expect from this band. A lot of the electronic work that previously was just felt random or just misplaced is incorporated into the songs in a way that actually feels cohesive. There's breakdowns that actually make sense and transitions that will go from heavy, normal, what you'd expect from grindcore to everything from new wave jazz to disco. There's even a full instrumental track on here as well, which is pretty kind of cool. It's kind of a jazzy feel to it, mixed in with the guitar riffs and stuff like that. And it's something that they've kind of really done well on this album, that while there are a lot of long songs on here, the transitions throughout the songs never tire you out, and that's something throughout this album. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't really like screaming, for instance, you're not really going to like this. This isn't for you. There's a lot of vocal work on here, but it's never clean. And thankfully, the vocalist has a really good range. Now, normally when I mention range, it's usually talking about going from clean vocals to screaming or highs and lows and things like that. Now, in this case, again, there's no clean vocals on here. It's more just his range within his ability to scream from high to low and to transition from that, which is it's something a lot of people dismiss, but it's not as easy as people think. And a lot of vocalists do not have that ability to transition as abruptly as he does without it sounding abrupt. And that's something that's done very well on this album vocally, aside from the music itself, which again is kind of traditional grindcore. It's that kind of chaotic mess of music with heavy guitar riffs and blast beats and things like that. But again, it's mixed in with a lot of other different styles and elements that throughout this album, thankfully, never tires this album out. You never really feel like this is an album you just want to turn off. Individually, the songs kind of can at times grow stale if you listen to them a little too many times. Are some songs on here. I don't think there's really any bad songs necessarily on here. I would say it's definitely more of an album that you need to listen to all the way through versus listening to the individual songs. I mean, I do have my favorite songs on here, particularly the track Dr. Teeth is one of my favorites on here. The opening track also is fantastic on here. Starts off with just these electronic noises coming at you, kind of sounding like they're in the distance, and then just burst in there with the sound. And I like that. If you see my reviews, I'm kind of a sucker for an intro track, and that's something I really enjoy that they did, because I feel like it really kind of sets your expectations, and also it's just kind of something cool that they do. So overall, I think this album, if you're into I would say metalcore or grindcore, but are looking for something a little bit more interesting, this is probably a good album for you. This, thankfully, again, is not what you may expect from a band with a name like Arsonists Get All the Girls. It's not childish. It doesn't have those elements that their previous work had of just being random for the sake of random, or just, chaotic just to be chaotic. Everything kind of makes sense on this album and just comes off very polished on here, and feels definitely like a cohesive album.